Every superhero franchise eventually gives you the movie where the guy loses his powers. Tony Stark without the suit. Neo before he believes he's the one. And for one entire Premier League winning season, Arsenal handed us the football equivalent. Because the same Martin Odegaard, who once made the number 8 shirt look like a magic wand, spent 2025 to 26 looking suspiciously mortal, and the discourse noticed. Let's just sit with the numbers for a second, because they read like a horror movie stock chart. 7 league goals in 2022 to 23, 8 the year after, 3 last season, and this season, the one where Arsenal actually won the title, 1. Jurien Timber even had more Premier League goals than this. Suddenly, the fan base split into two camps faster than a Hogwarts sorting hat with a grudge, and the comment sections turned into their own little battle of Hogwarts, except the only casualty being debated is a Norwegian playmaker's captaincy. Here's the twist though, and it's the kind of twist that actually deserves its own trailer moment. The goals disappeared, but the output didn't. Odegaard still finished with 6 to 8 assists, depending on which stat site you trust, still ran a passing accuracy north of 87%, and still, according to FOTMob's underlying data, remained one of the highest rated central midfielders in the league relative to his position. This isn't a striker who's lost the killer instinct. This is a conductor whose orchestra just started playing a different arrangement. Because Arsenal in 2025 to 26 didn't need Odegaard scoring free kicks against Burnley anymore. They needed him as the trigger, the first press, the man who decides whether the team drops into a 4-1-4-1 or springs a 4-4-2. Arteta's own words, not ours. And then came the injury file. Because no modern footballer's Netflix documentary is complete without the medical montage. An MCL knee injury on October 4th that kept him sidelined for stretches. A season that saw him start just 16 league games. And by the time the World Cup rolled around, Odegaard had gone straight from an Arsenal title parade to a Norway camp with less recovery time than a college student cramming before finals. Players need 6 to 8 weeks minimum after a season like that one, and Odegaard got closer to 0. But here's where the plot does its third act reversal, the one where the underdog suddenly remembers who he is. Give this man a Norway shirt and a World Cup stage that hasn't seen his country since 1998, and Odegaard transforms from PR purchase, Ancelotti's own brutal old verdict on him, into the closest thing football has to Steve Rogers finally lifting the hammer. 3 assists in his first 3 World Cup games, a feat matched only by Igor Belanov and Michael Ballack in tournament history. A quarterfinal win over Brazil, where Ancelotti himself admitted Odegaard's deeper positioning strangled his team's press. Vinicius Jr. calling him a player who controls games. A Viking Row celebration that's basically become the World Cup's answer to a title belt entrance. And because the internet demands its villain arcs too, a genuinely spicy exchange with Neymar that had football Twitter reaching for popcorn emojis before the two made up like it was nothing personal, strictly business. So which Odegaard is the real one? The Premier League ghost who somehow only found the net once? Or the Viking captain single-handedly dragging a nation of 5 million people back into World Cup relevance for the first time in a generation? The honest answer? The one Tifo would draw 3 overlapping circles for, is that both are true, and neither cancels the other out. Odegaard isn't declining as a footballing brain, he's declining as an available body, and in the Moneyball era of football, that's a very different problem to solve than he's lost it. And can we talk about that West Ham game for a second? Because if you want a single clip that argues the entire case, this is it. 83 minutes on the clock, London Stadium bricking it, title race hanging by a thread, and Odegaard, 15 minutes off the bench, dances through a 5-man low block like he's got a cheat code before laying it off for Trossard to smash Arsenal 5 points clear. Trossard himself called it an amazing run afterward, and the numbers back up just how load-bearing that moment was. Odegaard made fewer starts than in any full season of his Arsenal career, and still finished joint top of the assist charts. Take him out of that game, and there is no title parade to rush back from. That's not a decline narrative, that's a Home Alone plot twist. The guy left off the poster is still the one setting every trap. Now, full disclosure, this take has done a full 180 for me too. A few months ago, watching the injuries pile up, I'd have told you cash in on both Odegaard and Ethan Waneri and reinvest smart. But then you actually look at where the market sits right now, and the entire plan falls apart. Mateus Fernandes, a 21-year-old midfielder from a team that got relegated with 4 goals and 4 assists to his name last season, just moved for £85 million. 85 million for a player still figuring out who he is. That's the going rate for potential right now, not proven Ballon d'Or tier creativity. So walk me through the replacement plan for a captain who still averages a goal contribution every other game, who just orchestrated a title-winning run, and who single-handedly dragged Norway to a World Cup quarterfinal against Brazil. You're not finding that for 85 million. You're finding that for 100 plus. And then spending another full season watching him learn Arteta's structure from scratch. The exact tax the club already paid once and clearly doesn't want to pay twice. And here's the part that should worry every Arsenal fan heading into next season more than any single player debate. This squad is about to be stretched thinner than Frodo's rations on the way to Mount Doom. Saliba's back problem isn't going away on its own. Saka's Achilles is being managed, not fixed. Rice's neural hamstring pain is by definition unpredictable. Throw in whatever comes out of a congested preseason and a 3-week September international break, and Arteta may be looking at surgeries, rest rotations, and load management call-offs across half his first-choice spine at once. In a season shaping up like that, you don't sell your most positionally versatile, tactically intelligent, still productive under pressure midfielder. You bank him because he might be the one player left standing when everyone else is in the treatment room. Which brings us to the actual question sitting on Arteta's desk this summer. Selling Odegaard for the right price sounds sensible in a boardroom spreadsheet. It sounds a lot less sensible when you remember he's still the trigger for Arsenal's entire defensive shape. Still the on-ball control valve England's own Declan Rice has to physically account for, and still, by his own manager's admission, invaluable. You don't sell your engine because it needs an oil change. You manage the mileage. Arsenal's real decision this summer isn't Odegaard's talent. It's whether they trust their medical department enough to keep giving Iron Man his suit back every single season, or whether they'd rather cash in now at a market this inflated and let some other club deal with the recovery timeline while Arsenal foot a 9-figure bill for his replacement. Because if history and this World Cup have taught us anything, it's that written off too early is usually exactly when Odegaard decides to remind everyone why he wears the armband in the first place.